If you want an adventure, you could climb a mountain! Or ride dune buggies through the desert! Or you could just head to your neighborhood Zaxby's. Introducing the Smokehouse Cheddar Barbecue and Southwest Chipotle Filet Sandwich Meals. They're brand new and they'll take your taste buds to wild and exciting new places. Both feature our famous hand-breaded chicken, and they're both available for a limited time. Only at your neighborhood Zaxby's. And don't miss Jumanji: The Next Level, only in theaters.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up, wake up. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
What up, everybody? Welcome on into Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan. He is Corey. We work for Warchant.com. Use the promo code FSU New Era. It gets you 50% off an annual membership to Warchant.com for first-time new subscribers. Again, that promo code FSU New Era. Corey, my buddy was in town. I was out with him last night, having a couple drinks. And he told me to stop talking about the sandwich from Zaxby's. I'm like, dude, we've talked about everything on the Zaxby's menu. He's like, well, stop talking about the sandwich. He's like, talk about the boneless wings. And I'm like, okay, I'll talk about the boneless wings. What kind of sauce do you think Leonard Hamilton would like? Like Leonard Hamilton's not going to go for the insane stuff, right? Like the slap yo mama sauce. He's going to go with wimpy, isn't he?
No, he's not a fan of hot sauce apparently.
Yeah. So there we go. I said it. Zaxby's, indescribably good. But for real, I would try the Smokehouse Cheddar Brisket Filet Sandwich. That's my go-to right now. Sorry, Mike. Sorry. I know you got to drive and listen to me say the same thing over and over again, but it's a really good sandwich. I'm going to keep talking about how good it is. We have over-unders to get to, which means we will give away some free Zaxby's food and a T-shirt with Corey's face on it. My face is on it as well. Also, shout out to Juan. He works out at my gym, the UFIT, and between sets came up to me. He's like, yo, you're the guy that does the podcast with Corey Clark. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And the thing is, my buddy, who's like a meathead, I love you, Mike. I can say that about you. You're my friend. He was like on the bench getting ready to do his set, so he didn't see Juan come up to me and give me a shout-out for the podcast. So I'm like, did you see that? He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, some guy just came up and said that he's a fan of the show. He's like, I didn't see it. You're making it up. I'm like, no, dude, I swear to God. And Juan walked up to me after I got done with my set on the bench where I stalled out on 2:05. So it was a little bit embarrassing. But he's a fan of the program. So shout out to Juan.
Yeah, good job, Juan. We appreciate it. Anytime you see us in public, well, more Aslan than me, probably. I think you probably need a little more positive reinforcement. But I tell you that, I got up at the casino night thing we did last week. There was a lot of nice things people said about you. Some of the people said you're not that bad, but most everybody else was like, yeah, I like the way you two together really works. I like both of you guys. So
yeah,
that's good to hear.
Yeah, we figured this thing out a little bit. So
by the way, for the I'm a little technical difficulties on my end, so don't blame Aslan for this. Yeah. That's why I'm on the phone. I hate it. I'd rather be going through the computer with the headset and the sweet mic, but not today, people. Sorry, folks.
So yeah, subscribe to Warchant. Buy Zaxby's, and then we have money to buy Corey cool things so that he sounds awesome. So it's your fault, everybody. Step up. Who will step up for Florida State? In the absence of Marvin Wilson, news came down on Thursday morning. Ira Schofel, our man with the plan. Marvin Wilson had to undergo immediate surgery on his hand. He will miss the remainder of the season. Apparently, the training staff said it was something that had to be done. This isn't a case of salvaging one's future to duck out on a game. So, and Marvin's going to remain a captain in a statement that Odell released through the team spokesman. So that's unfortunate. This is becoming an even more uphill climb to beat BC. I know you don't care because I'm in the locomotive. You're in the caboose. I want to win this. I want to go to a bowl. And I don't want to hear from the pro Willie Taggart fans if they get beat by 30 against Boston College. Like, see? It's not Willie's fault. Good luck. They all quit. They're all quitting because they don't like you folks anymore. And I'm bracing for that now, unfortunately. I just don't know how they're going to
Well,
win.
it is a bummer when you're trying to beat Boston College to lose your best interior defensive player and one of the best in the conference country. I guess it's not a great recipe for success. But yeah, when you initially see a report like that, not a report, when they come out and say he's missing the rest of the season, the first thing you might think is, okay, I see how it is. But number one, I don't think Marvin is that kind of kid. That would have really surprised me if he kind of made up an injury. But yeah, we also heard that this is absolutely valid. He did hurt it in the Miami game, sadly, and I wonder if they'll let him walk against Alabama State, if they'll let him walk on Senior Day. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. There's going to be 12 people there, but it's just kind of a bummer that his career ends like this because he's such a good player, and it just the debacle he had to play through the last 3 years.
It's like he picked Florida State over LSU. Like, can you imagine if Ed Orgeron was like, Marvin, don't go to Tallahassee. You're in your last season. Oh, you're going to break your hand. They're going to fire Taggart in the middle of the season. Come to Baton Rouge. We're going to be playing Alabama. We'll be number 2. They'll be number 3. Go Tigers. One team, one heartbeat. And here we are.
I would think, he could put himself in the portal, I guess. Could he get there in time for the game Saturday if he put himself in the portal?
I know. Well, no, he really does have a serious hand injury. I mean, not to make light of it. And to Corey's point, it's a bummer for a guy who's he's towed the line. He's done everything they've asked of him. He's been a captain. He hasn't given up on this team. He hasn't given up on this program. And, sustained an injury in the Miami game apparently that required immediate attention. So they'll be without him. And, again, that makes the bowl likelihood that much more dim. But I'm alone on that island, apparently. We still people who are invested emotionally in this program care about the head coaching search. And a couple bizarre things happened on Thursday night. I guess the most bizarre, the most recent as we record this and approach midnight, so we actually are approaching Friday, is a tweet by Ian Rappaport of NFL Network fame. This tweet was sent out on Thursday night at 11:38 p.m. Corey said it to me, and I'm like, no way. And I think there's a faux Ian Rappaport account out there on Twitter, but this is the real thing. This is the blue check mark. NFL Network analyst and Hall of Famer Deion Sanders has emerged as a candidate for the Florida State head coaching job, sources tell me and Mike Garofalo. A fascinating situation that could unfold. I can't believe it. No way. No way, right?
I mean, I would say there's and look, hey, I'll be freezing cold take. I don't care. I would say there's a better chance of Jimbo or Taggart coming back to coach than Deion Sanders becoming the head coach at Florida State University. Keep in mind, this is a guy that was away from the program for decades, and still won't talk to the Tallahassee Democrat for a slight that happened in 1988. Even though when I was there, we did like a retrospective of his freshman season. I don't remember. It was a really cool retrospective about how he got to Florida State and all his great moments. It was a big, almost special section just on Deion. And he appreciated it, and he tweeted about it, but he wouldn't talk to us because it was the Democrat. Not that that's a big deal, but, I mean, I know he coaches. What coaching experience does he have? I know he coaches a 7-on-7 team. Does he coach a high school team?
He coaches the Under Armour All-American game.
That's true. What's his record in that? Have you looked that up?
I haven't searched it. I'll look it up during the commercial
break. Yeah, that's what we'll
do
for Monday's show is we'll look up Deion's record in the Under Armour All-American game. No, I just obviously that would be I would be gobsmacked. I would be dumbfounded. Florida State can get a lot of great candidates. Really, I don't know that you would go. I mean, a great player, but you would go after a guy that you have no idea could run a program at all. Deion knows X's and O's fine. He was in the game. He's been in the game for 35 years now, but can he run a program? I mean, I guess he could recruit. I mean, I don't think he'd have a hard time recruiting, but who would his coaches be? Would it just be guys from the Seminole Rap? You got Odell already. So you're set there. Your QB coach could be P.T. Willis or Chip Ferguson. Both those guys are in the Seminole Rap. Dedrick Dodge is in there. He's the Blade. He wrote it, so he should be your secondary coach. You got a lot of possibilities here, man. Just making an all Florida State greats coaching staff.
I agree. Yeah, bring Winky back. Let's get everybody that's got some sort of tie to the program. There's no way that's happening, but it's out there, so it was worth talking about. Otherwise, all is quiet on the
That's
Bobs.
crazy though. Like, why would he even? I'm sure Deion might legitimately be interested in it. I don't know, but that's like me saying I'm interested in, like we said, dating Mila Kunis. That just because you're interested in it doesn't mean you're a viable candidate.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe he'd hire Mickey back. Anyway, that's it's fun to think about. It would actually be awesome. All joking aside, I'm not saying the program would work at all. He might get bored and not want to do it after a year. He might hate recruiting. He might just hate being, what a college football coach has to do, 16 hours a day. But man, it would be an awesome ride for as long as it lasted.
Would it be more than 21 games?
I don't know. Hey, that's his number. He's in the Hall of Fame as number 21. There could be some symmetry there. I think it'd be more than 2 games, which was his number at Florida State. But, I think it would probably be whoever the next head coach is. It could be Terrell Buckley. It could be Leroy Butler. By the way, Terrell Buckley tweeted on Thursday that he was in Tallahassee.
Correct. Yeah. For business, though, for Mississippi State.
I assume that means to recruit.
Yes, correct.
Okay, that's too bad.
Otherwise, the interesting development on Thursday night. Again,
more interesting than Deion?
Yeah, because it's viable. I mean, Deion's not coming here. My buddy in Los Angeles texted me asking me, "What about Mike Leach?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What about Mike Leach? What about Mike Leach?" Well, Bruce Feldman's on the radio here talking about Mike Leach. There's no way Mike Leach is coming to Florida State. So, I don't even want to entertain. As a famous philosopher once said in 2014, I don't want to entertain that foolishness. Rashad Green, everybody. Rashad Green. Or maybe it was Immanuel Kant. I can't, one or the other. I get the two confused all the time. But apparently a Florida State fan, I don't want to shorten him. Apparently a guy on Twitter, his name is Cameron Lay, was in Oklahoma City. Bob Stoops was at an event. All has been quiet on the Bob Stoops front on Thursday. Not a lot of developments. You can check out warchant.com for the latest on it, but pretty much I think the only nuggets that Gene had was that no news is kind of a good news thing. It was pretty much quiet. Things are continuing to develop. Possible competition for the services of Bob Stoops, which, golly, I hope Southern Cal doesn't think they can come in there and try to nab him away. Go ahead, get Urban Meyer, take him off everybody's hands. But that's where we stand on that. But again, this gentleman, this intrepid young man, Cameron Lay, apparently was in Oklahoma City at this event that Bob Stoops was at. It was a Q&A. And according to his Twitter, this young man, Frito-Lay15 is his Twitter handle. Give him a follow. Asked Bob Stoops, Corey, your name has been floating around in the media quite a lot recently. Would you like to comment on that? And how do you stay focused when that is happening? Big Game Bob said this.
Well, I don't have to stay focused now. I'm freewheeling, so I can do what I need to do. When all those rumors came about when I was coaching, I paid no attention to them. I just kept doing my job. And everyone knew in my building I was doing my job, and that's all that mattered. So in the end, there's so much that's said about me that's not true that anymore it just deflects off me like Teflon. It doesn't matter to me. It just slides off, and it doesn't matter, So, I just have made it a point really a long time ago. I don't comment one way or another whether anyone wants me or doesn't want me. That's my business, and again, but so much of it's through the years has been untrue, but there's been some of it that has been true. But that's for me to know. Thanks.
Look at that. So, Corey, first off, kind of sounded Trumpian, where he's like, yeah, all this stuff comes at me and it just bounces off me like Teflon. What are you going to do? And what's with this Youngstown accent? They all sound the same. Like him and John Gruden sound exactly alike, man. I kind of dig it.
Well, it's that part of Ohio, right? It's just in their blood. It's in their loins. It's in their voice. They can't get rid of it even if they wanted to.
Yeah. So I guess the interesting thing there is him kind of oddly wrapping the entire thought up with, yeah, there's a lot of stuff said about me, and a lot of it's not true. Some of it's true. It's for me to know. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that was a venue for him to be like, yeah, man, I'm not going to Florida State. I'm not going back to college. I'm staying here. I'm going to Dallas. I'm going to be in the XFL. I'm excited for this opportunity ahead. But, it took Twitter. Not only Twitter's been a buzz with it or a flame with it, but there's been some hubbub about it. Very curious.
Well, yeah, and good on him for asking the question. I can't quite understand what event it was that Stoops was doing a Q&A on, but cool that somebody was there and he was doing a Q&A. Good timing, fortuitous timing. But, if he wasn't going to Florida State, if he wasn't even entertaining the notion of being a college head coach again, he would have been a good time to say it. There are things called non-denial denials. Jimbo was pretty good at it his last 3 years at Florida State, or 4 years really, and I think that's what that was. That doesn't mean he's the next head coach at Florida State, but it also means, I understand why Florida State fans will mean by, hey, he didn't deny it, did he? No, he didn't, and we've been telling you that. No matter what he told Herb Street, there have been talks. There has been a little bit of back and forth. How far it's gone, no idea. And even if it gets all the way to, as Ira wrote on the site on Thursday, even if it gets all the way to, here's an offer, we will, everything you've asked for, we will give you. We're marking, we're checking all the boxes off. Here you go. Here's the package. He still might get cold feet and say, no, I don't want to do it. But as of now, he's still a candidate, no matter what anybody else says. And if he wanted to harpoon that idea and say, nope, this is ridiculous, let me say once and for all, people read my lips. But I don't want to have to say this again. I'm not going to be the head coach at Florida State or anywhere else. He had that platform to do that. Instead, he gets all coy at the end and says, hey, sometimes they are true. It was almost like he had to throw that in there like, man, I can't keep acting like the media is just completely making this up.
Right.
So I need to at least cover my bases if I do end up taking this job. So I'll say, hey, and some of the stuff they do say is true, and that's for me to know, which absolutely, Bob.
So, yeah, that's where we're at.
He did. It wasn't a denial.
No, we're still in the game. It's so you're saying there's still a chance.
Yeah, that's right.
There still is a chance. Also, another potential candidate moving up the hot board potentially. All that over on warchant.com. Use the promo code FSU New Era, 50% off an annual membership for first-time new subscribers. So this is the time to do. This is the most important hire ever in Florida State history. Which do
you think? Obviously, Deion isn't the person you're talking about moving up the hot board.
Correct.
But would Florida State fans be more excited? And I'm talking about the overall fan base, not the people that kind of follow it closely, but even the casual Florida State fans and former, and all the alums all over the country. Would they be more excited about Bob Stoops or Deion Sanders?
I want to be your Huckleberry and play along. Was that like a rhetorical question or?
No, I'm
like
legitimately wondering if I think people will be like, wow, Deion Sanders, well, this will be something. At least it'll be entertaining.
No,
but you're
way.
thinking they'd probably more on board with Bob Stoops, the guy that's coached college football before.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody in my circle of friends that would take Deion over Bob Stoops. I can't think.
Not take him necessarily, but just like the excitement could be close to even. Just like the whole. Is this going to happen? What is this going to be like? It's going to be so the unknown will be so high with Deion.
Yeah.
You never know, man. He could be like Penny Hardaway at Memphis, and all of a sudden he's signing the number one class in the country every year.
Yeah, no, that's a fair, valid point. That's where I was at with like the Joe Brady or Billy Napier hire. I'm just like, man, if they're going to swing for it and they can't get somebody, let's just do something absolutely crazy off the wall. Like, let's not hire Jim McElwain. Let's not go hire some guy from the Mountain West that's got a pretty decent record. Oh, he just won 10 games last year. Let's give him a whirl. Just do something completely off the wall because why not? And I guess, Deion Sanders kind of fits that bill.
That's completely off the wall. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Yeah, it's crazy, man. I don't know. There's so many things that kind of like go
They'd
through
have
my
more.
head.
You think they'd play more games in prime time?
Hey-o. Hey,
That just
yo.
happened. That just happened, folks. That's why you listen to this show. Not for any insight, really. It's for that kind of stuff right there. That's off the dome. Literally, it's not like I sit around all day and write this stuff down. That was literally off the dome. Unbelievable. You're welcome.
All right, let's get through the rest of these questions and let's do some over-unders and then send you off to the weekend, everybody. Noel Holla, good morning, guys. Call me once Big Game Bob is hired. Love the show. Go Noles. John Henry Jones Jr., wake up, fellas. I read the Taggart news when I was in San Diego airport waiting for a flight home after playing video games for 24 straight hours to raise money for Children's Hospital. Really? That's a sentence I thought I'd never type out in my life. Can you talk about any specific examples of the disorganization behind the scenes of the program that people seem to refer to a lot? It's usually just referred to vaguely. That's your account, Corey.
Specific examples. I mean, if you want to just talk about stuff that's out there for sure, is the fact that they don't have a 10th assistant coach, or they didn't. That's disorganization. You have to figure that out one way or the other. That's looking at a guy going with you on a plane to recruit Trayshawn Harrison and saying, hey, do you want to do it? And, not knowing obviously that Dugans would be available in a year, but you also had to understand that there were better receiving coaching candidates in the country than the guy sitting next to you on the plane. Also, and again, nothing specific when it came to recruiting, just not nearly as organized as you would want them or hope them to be, and everything that entails. Just everything you can imagine that would mean. Sure, I'm not going to I won't get into specifics. And they were, they didn't have the 38th ranked class, but there was just some things behind the scenes, maybe with the way they organized visits, the way they organized kids that came to their camp.
Yep.
Things like that you heard that didn't bode well.
Yeah. Otherwise, that first Saturday Night Live recruiting event they had on campus it started like an hour and a half late. I think they ended up releasing a roster. I don't even know if that was kosher. And they ended up only having it at certain places inside the stadium. This past one, there was certain gates that weren't even open. A lot of people ended up people just quit and went home because they couldn't figure out what gate to enter the field. And heck, I don't want to empty out the clip on this or anything, but literally I showed up there, I don't know, probably 20 minutes after it was supposed to start, or maybe 10 minutes after it was supposed to start. And Michael was like, yeah, you got to go to this certain gate and more. And I ended up actually driving my car around Doak to the gate that's kind of by where Willie would park his car. And there was a golf cart at the gate waiting for somebody to let him in. And I put down my window. I'm like, hey, man, do you know if I can enter this event through here? And it was Taggart in his golf cart, and the event had already started. So, yeah, that's a little bit dubious. The things that we talked about last year with guys being in the parking lot an hour before kickoff, guys kicking field goals before games. I think there's things even as minutia as submitting expense reports through the proper channels. Because, again, this is still, there's HR. This is a state, state institution. There's still things you don't just, not everything is just, freewheeling.
Well,
there's
yeah,
a lot
but
of.
you wouldn't be fired for expense reports.
No, but
that wasn't the.
Well, I don't think he's asking for examples of getting fired. He's just asking for what are some specific examples of disorganization, and that's up there. You got a program here, man. You have to figure out, workflow, be organized. It's an expense report. Sure. You had to buy something, fill out the paperwork, get it to somebody at the proper time. So, yeah, there's all sorts of little minutia from the little to the big. Those are some specific examples, I think. But in terms of there wasn't, they didn't miss flights or buses didn't leave without getting kids on it. It wasn't that egregious. But, yeah, enough to where, again, after 21 games, we're here. This is where we're at. Next question. MCG Cure from Southwest Georgia joined on Monday. Wake up, gentlemen. I'm sitting here enjoying my leftover Zaxby's chicken fingers and wondering about our beloved program. It's hard to imagine anyone is a better choice than Bob Stoops, and it seems that money won't be an issue. What would be? Is there any demand, that's not crazy, that he could make that would make the administration say no? Any demand that's not crazy he could make that would make the administration say no?
I would no, unless well, I mean, I'm sure there's, my wife has to be the president.
That's crazy.
You can go. There's a ton of them. I would say, other than like a family member as the head coach in waiting, it's a realistic demand. I'm not saying that's what he'd ask for. I'm just saying that you could see someone maybe doing that. No, maybe he wants 20 or he wants to add 20 support staff positions, and that might be a no. You know what I mean? Like that, right. That could be something where it's like, we don't have the money to pay those salaries. That's an extra, whatever that would be. But otherwise, no, I don't think so at all. I think Florida State again has proven that they want to do everything to get this right, even if it means spending a whole lot of money in the short term.
Like, do you almost have to treat him like he is Nick Saban because it's the closest thing you can get to Nick Saban right now? Just in terms of like a proven winner, foundation builder, successful, sustaining overseer. I mean, does it have to be that point where it's like, I want to bring in Mike to be my coordinator? Okay, he was terrible the last 2 years. We don't care. You can bring him on. I mean, are you almost at that point where there's very little leverage for this program to be like, well, let's not get carried away, Bob. You're great, but we're not going to, take out a second mortgage on everyone's house to keep you happy. But it just feels
that's
like
a good question, because he's not Nick Saban. He's a reasonable facsimile, obviously, and he was very, very successful at Oklahoma, and he's the best person available on your board. But I don't know that he's above reproach, and I don't know that he could make a demand like that, like Mike Stoops is my defensive coordinator. Now, I think the counter to that, I maybe if Coburn or Thrasher or Ed Burr or anybody in the board of trustees would be like, well, no, we don't want him to be our defensive coordinator. And then he's like, okay, well, I'm not your coach. I don't think they would put their line and they would make a line in the sand for something like that. Mainly because, Bob Stoops knows more about football than they do. And if he wants that guy to be his defensive coordinator, then, I mean, yeah, of course they would let him. He gets to hire who he wants to hire. You hope it's not full of nepotism, and that he would maybe go in a different route than somebody with his last name. But, that's his right. If he's the head coach, you're giving him the keys. And if he wants that guy to be his defensive coordinator, then that's going to be his defensive coordinator. And there's really not much you can do about it. So, yeah, I guess I just answered your question by saying, yeah, I guess you would treat him like Nick Saban like that. You're not going to pay him like Saban. But, yeah, he's going to have full autonomy to fill out his staff and to make almost any realistic, reasonable demands that he thinks he needs.
Joe Clark 17, hey guys, longtime listener of the podcast, just subscribed to Warchant with the FSU New Era promo. I'm from Pensacola, home of Derek Brooks. His dad used to umpire my baseball games as a kid and has the best strike three call out there. Corey, if anyone spells Clark with an E, they are an idiot. Joe Clark 17,
absolutely.
By the way. Clark,
do you think his real name is Joe Clark, which was also the name of the principal in Lean on Me?
Oh, that's
right. The Morgan Freeman movie?
Uh-huh. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, his name was Joe Clark. They used to call me Crazy Joe. Now they call me Batman. Good movie, kids. If you haven't seen it, and I assume most of you haven't, go watch it. It's set in Paterson, New Jersey. Most of it's true, loosely based on a true story. So go watch it. Good times.
Oh, by the way, my buddy Mike, the Meathead, big Jets fan, and he wanted to say that you underestimate your audience in thinking that nobody else would know who Mark Gastineau was. And big Gastineau guy.
Big good. Gastineau. Yeah, all right, man. Gastineau was crazy. He was awesome.
Yeah. Joe Clark 17, I'm a PJ Fleck guy, and it seems that the smoke around him has died out since the Bob Stoops rumors and Fleck's new contract. But if we sign him before December 13th, the buyout does not take effect, supposedly. Yeah, they've agreed to a new contract extension with an additional buyout, but it's not official until the Board of Trustees meets, which is sometime in mid-December. So there is that going for Florida State if they want PJ Fleck. I know we will find out more about his Minnesota team in the coming weeks, but why does it seem like everyone is so down on him? I feel like he would be an awesome coach and the one we need right now. Do you want to take this one, Corey, or do you want me to do it?
No, I think it's because there are some similarities between him and the guy that he's replacing. Just that I don't, and I say that I don't know what Fleck's assistant coach career was. It couldn't have been much because he's only 38 and he's been a head coach for a few years. But winning at Western Michigan and then winning 8 games at Minnesota isn't maybe the same as being in big time college football. But again, the guy can obviously coach. And I'm not against him at all. I think I don't think that's a huge splash for Florida State fans unless, if my man wins 10 or 11, if he wins this weekend and wins another game, 10 wins in Minnesota is really something. And again, like I said earlier this week, I think, he doesn't want to stay at Minnesota. He's not going to be a lifer at Minnesota. He wants to go to one of the big boys and try to compete for a national championship. Florida State gives him a good spot, but it's a good place to try that. It's just, Western Michigan and Minnesota winning there, it's not going to really warm the cockles as like somebody that's won at Oklahoma or, let's just say one in the Big 12, one in the SEC, or one in the ACC. Even if we're talking about an assistant coach, I think Florida State fans would be more excited about someone like Venables than they would be PJ Fleck. Saying all that, there's no guarantee that one's better than the other, and there's a chance both of them would be great at Florida State. Yeah. Do you know did you look it up where he was an assistant coach?
No, but I did want to point out that Minnesota won 8 games in 2013, 8 games in 2013. They won 8 games. They won 8 games in 2014. They won 9 games in 2016 before he took over. So.
Did they really?
Yeah, it's just they had some issues.
What happened? Was it Jerry Kill? He just kept having the seizures?
Yeah, but then the guy who took over for him, Tracy Clays, got them rolling. But there was a whole bunch of sexual assault allegations around several players, and he made a couple comments that people thought were a bit insensitive to the alleged victims.
So he took over a program that had at least 3 8-win seasons in the last 5 years?
Yeah, including a 9-win team. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. All right. Well, still, he can coach, sure. But I thought Minnesota had been like bad for, I guess I don't pay that much attention to Minnesota, but I thought they had been bad for like half a decade now.
No, he took that 9-win team to 5 wins in 17. They won 7 games last year, and they got 8 wins this year. So. It's that, and just it's just too over the top, chummy, like big. I don't know. He's do something, but more. More pie in the sky. I don't know. Just it doesn't feel right I think Florida State. People didn't like the way I talked about Willie when he first got hired. And I know it's a new time. I know it's a new day and age. You can't Bobby Knight guys anymore. You can't dog cuss people. Junction Boys is outdated. That stuff doesn't happen. I feel like they need a Bob Stoops. They need a Brent Venables to come in here and just, lay down the law. We're not doing this stuff anymore. I don't care how you feel. I don't care about going out there and making plays for each other. We're going to go out there and we're going to play good football. We're going to make the name on the back of your jersey proud, and we're going to make the name on the front of your jersey even more proud. And we're going to practice at 3 o'clock in the afternoon so everybody can sleep in and have a good breakfast and attack the day and that kind of stuff. Sure. So I think we're all about that.
Absolutely.
PJ,
so they need somebody like a Stoops or a Venables or a Deion.
Yeah, absolutely. Lay down the law.
Yeah.
So PJ Fleck was with the 49ers for a year playing, and then he became a GA at Ohio State, followed up by 3 years at Northern Illinois where he's a receivers coach. 2 years at Rutgers as a receivers coach, 1 year with the Buccaneers in the NFL as a receivers coach, and then from there had the head coaching job at Western Michigan for 4 seasons, culminating with that 13-1 campaign his last year there. His first year, 2013, they won 1 game. They went from 1-11 to 8-5, another 8-5, and then to 13-1. I'm sure you're like, hey,
really
look up.
Impressive.
Yeah, no, that is. And then the year before he got there, Western Michigan was 4-8. So there is a bit of purge Like that first year he gets there, his teams do worse. Like Minnesota took a step back in year one. Western Michigan took a step back in year one under him, but eventually it paid dividends in year 4. Does Florida State have the patience to do that, though? No.
And nobody questions his coaching acumen. I'm sure he can coach. There's a lot of guys out there that can coach. Like we've said, there's no guarantee that Fleck – I mean, there's a chance if you got Fleck, he'd win you 2 or 3 national championships. That happens. And I would never criticize a hire until we see how it plays out. Really, I wouldn't. I don't think anybody should because you just don't know. Look who's coaching at Clemson, for crying out loud. Duke, back in 1981, Duke had just been to the Final Four in 1978. 1978, they'd been in the Final Four. Then their guy up and quit and left for another job, and they hired a no-name from Army who didn't even have a great record at Army. You just don't know. But, I think Fleck is at least my guess is he's probably 3rd on the list at best right now. And who knows? He might not want to come to Florida State.
Oh, we got so many questions to get to. I'm going to have to start skipping over some people. I apologize. Flash FSU. If Willie would have started Hornibrook since Boise, do you think he'd still be FSU's head coach today? What about the end of the season? Wow, that's yeah, man. I don't know. Who do they beat Virginia? I guess we're just going to say that he would have found one of those guys open.
The thing is, Blackman missed some plays in that Virginia game, but he also made a couple plays that Hornibrook just doesn't make. And the same could be said for Wake Forest. Blackman missed plenty, but he also made a couple plays. The one touchdown to Cam that just Hornibrook has no shot at making that play. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's impossible to say, and it's almost unfair. I think we saw. I think Hornibrook. I don't even know. I don't even know anymore. Who knows? He was going to start Saturday.
Yeah. Renegade Express Q's. Now that Taggart is gone, is it possible that we'll lose current players to the portal? Absolutely. I know there are APR issues that cause problems. If a player transfers via portal, how does it affect APR issues since they did not graduate? Well, as long as they're in good academic standing, they don't get dinged. But yeah, if they leave with under bad circumstance in terms of they're not eligible or their grades are below, that does affect it. So as long as they're on the up and up, and if they graduate, their graduate transfer won't be as much of an issue. This is something that's making the rounds too, apparently on Twitter, that we don't have time to really get into. We do, but I just don't want to. It's late. I'm tired. But just this whole thing that Willie didn't have the ability to churn the roster, which I don't know, who's here that he didn't want that dragged him down. If they weren't here, who would he been able to get? You're still capped at 25 guys that you can bring in a signing class. So I don't know why people keep talking about that, but it's being talked about. Sabaxley 1212, which by the way wrote a 1,000-word advice column to you, Corey, about getting your son Brady a cell phone. Were you able to check that out?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I read it all, and I really appreciate that. Those were all good tips. And it is a good I've been thinking about that because it is a good punishment deterrent to say, hey, man, because there's not really much I can do now. I can take away his Xbox and make him go read. But if he had a cell phone, I'm like, dude, if you don't do what I say right the F now, I'm taking that cell phone for 2 weeks. I guarantee you that would whip him into shape.
All right.
Plus, he said that you can go, and I know Stephanie's told me too, there are apps that you can go check what they're doing. You can obviously track where their phone is, so you know if they're lying about where they are. And I think he also said that they're not allowed to change their passcode on the phone, and you're allowed to look at it at any time and read the messages.
Okay. All right.
So
very good.
Yeah. So there you go.
So
yeah, I'm leaning towards it, but only if Brady gets straight A's this semester.
Do it, Brady. Do it.
He's closer than he's ever been. I'm proud of that little guy for the way his grades anyway.
Let's go. Let's go. What are your thoughts, gentlemen, on Paul Feinbaum saying that FSU is a dumpster fire that has subpar facilities?
It's nonsense. It's a tired old just cliche that was frankly started by the guy that left last. He put that out there that their facilities are terrible and they're woefully behind, and they're just not. Aslan, you've been to plenty of places. Do you look at Florida State's facilities and go, man, they don't have a chance?
No, but I don't brag on it. That weight room's old.
Right.
Moore's old.
Yeah, but yeah, sure, fine. But you don't brag on it. That's fine. They don't have a chocolate fountain, and they don't have their own barber shop, and they don't have sleep pods in the locker room. But you wouldn't look at what they're doing and saying, oh, yeah, not bragging on it is different than like woefully behind the competition.
But it is, man. Like Clemson has a stand. Clemson, Alabama, the guys that you have to compete against to get these players to win national titles have all those bells and whistles, and you don't have them. I mean, it is what it is. They're trying, though. There's a plan in place to build that football facility. I mean, as it stands now, where we do our post-game press conference with a $5 million head coach is a classroom that literally just some guy that's taking intro to media relations can take a class in. You know, we're walking to do interviews, and there's kids sitting on the floor on their laptops, and you're walking over them to get into your meeting room. These aren't good things. It's probably weird when you're a recruit and you're being shown around campus and you see that kind of stuff, and then you go to Alabama or Clemson, you're like, yeah, man, this is all us. This is all us. Yeah, 35,000 square feet, 100 of us. It's crazy. Yep, all of us. You can go sleep in there whenever you want.
How often do you recruit against Alabama and Clemson? How often do you recruit against Florida and Miami?
Corey,
and are Florida and Miami facilities anything to brag about?
Corey, Booby. I mean,
are they
Alabama,
woefully behind their main competition?
I mean, we're not recruiting against Alabama and Clemson. Did we stop?
I mean, how many times? I mean, a kid? Not really. No. Okay. When's the last time Florida State got a kid that wanted to go down? That was down to Alabama and Florida State.
Cam
that
Akers.
That hasn't happened since Keith Gavin.
Cam Akers.
Yeah, I guess Akers, right? And why did he do that? They were woefully behind in the facilities there.
Because John James Fisher. I'm going to put you in a pro-style offense. I'm going to showcase you.
Yeah, sure. So, something I mean, they aren't. It's not Miami. You know, they're not Miami facilities, and they're fine, and they are planning to build a football-only facility. And to say that they're woefully behind is just nonsense. It's just nonsense. They have a great stadium, at least the outside of it. They have an IPF. They're building a football facility. I mean, their locker room is fine. It's not like a locker room from the 1980s. They had a $1 million, $2, $3 multi-million-dollar upgrade a few years ago. It's fine.
For the
it's fine.
Players Lounge, yeah.
They're not recruiting because of the facilities. They're not recruiting because they're 16-22 in their last 38 games or whatever the heck it is. That's not true.
Don't get me wrong.
16-19.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they were like horrendous, but in terms of a program of this caliber that's won 3 national titles, has won one here in the last 6 years. I'm sure like if you've seen Alabama and you've seen Clemson, and you show up to Tallahassee, you're kind of like, well, this is lacking a little bit, and this is all part of the calculus for a kid who's being recruited. And I'm kind of agreeing with you too, Corey. I think maybe guys like Jimbo oversell just how important that stuff is. I think relationships win out, playing time wins out, getting you graduated, getting you a good degree. Those things went out more than a sleep pod. But I think there's a lot of kids, too, that are like, damn, this is awesome. Like, I'm going to have to leave home. I'm really nervous and anxious about it. But look at this, like, palace I get to walk into every day. And, I mean, everyone needs, like, something. Everyone has, like, that one really cool thing in their house that, like, nobody really has. I don't know what Florida State's sort of, check this thing out. Like, you ain't going to see this anywhere else. I don't know if they have that kind of toy to help them.
The sororities?
Yeah. Touche.
I mean, there literally are things that Florida State has, and I'm not going down that road, but there are things that Florida State has that Clemson doesn't have. You're in a real city. You don't just have to deal with a lake. And you have to live in Clemson, South Carolina, with those roads, people.
It's very quaint.
With those roads.
It's very quaint.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, there's stuff that Florida State has, and also it's the location. Yeah, Clemson might have a great a sleep pod and a fireman's pole that you can slide down and say woo when you're at the football-only facility. But you're also in Clemson, South Carolina, which might be 500, 600 miles from your home. You might be a Florida kid that wants to stay in Florida. So there's other things that work in Florida State's favor. I'm not saying they need to just stay like not refurnish or refurbish things and make them nice. I get that. That is part of the game now. But you also don't, they're fine. I don't know how many recruits they're losing because of facilities.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many recruits they would ever lose because of facilities. I think just like Florida. Again, Florida doesn't have any of this stuff either. And they've won a national championship sort of recently, a decade ago. So, and they're doing all right now.
We don't compare ourselves to
Georgia has
that
an IPS,
nonsense.
by the way.
Conway T4811 basically asked us, have we seen the social media post from Warren Thompson's mother? Have you seen it, Corey?
I have.
Okay, I have too. He thinks that you cannot let this guy suit up as a Nole and represent you on the field. It should be made known to him. He can stay, play on the practice squad, but he is not going to see the field. What are your thoughts? I don't even know what she said, man. That was confusing. It was confusing. I couldn't even keep up with it. But obviously she's not happy. She thought Willie Taggart lied to her and her son about playing time. But I don't know if do you punish the son for the sins of the mother? But then again, he walked out of practice, apparently, according to her post. It's a mess. I don't know, man. Receiver's not a big problem. Either figure it out what you want to do. Do you want to be here or do you not want to be here? I mean, really. I mean, I don't want to make it that simple, but that's where I'm at with it. If you don't want to be here, all right, man. Put yourself in the portal. I don't think you have a red shirt, though. I think you redshirted last year, so be cognizant of that, Warren. But, yeah, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I hate saying that, but it is.
I just can't imagine, like, if Facebook could have been around or Twitter had been around 30 years ago. Because, man, you talk to former football players that went to any college, not just Florida State, obviously, any college. Coach, they'll say anything in recruiting, and then they lie to you once the season starts. They're different people, blah, blah. You hear it all the time. It's just sports, man. And, I wish that hadn't happened, but it's her right. It's her right to go off and say that. It's her life, and it's her son, so I get it. It's fine. But yeah, I wouldn't hold Warren Thompson accountable for that. He didn't do that. That wasn't his post. He could have been like, "Hey, Mom, would you mind taking that down? Maybe I got teammates and I'd like to maybe play at Florida State again. Perhaps, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. But yeah, the fact that he quit, I don't think that should be held against him. Other than whoever the new coach is, I'm sure he would meet with Warren Thompson and explain what his expectations are. And Warren Thompson might decide he doesn't want to be at Florida State anymore. He's already done that once, so he might, apparently, according to that post, so he might want to do it again. But I think he should have every right to meet with the new coach and see what happens after that. You're a redshirt freshman. You know what I mean? You're a redshirt freshman.
Yeah. Noel D56. You want to finish your thoughts? Sorry, Corey. I thought you were done.
No, I am. I was. It's just like it's not like you're a 50. It's not like, I mean, Keith Gavin's mom isn't Facebook and that stuff, and he's got 3 games left in his career. I mean, Warren Thompson's a freshman. I don't know. It's like, what did you expect? The guy in front of you is pretty darn good. I don't know, but I have no idea. I also have no idea she never really alluded to what the quote unquote lies were.
Right.
So it might not even have been about playing time. It might have been about other stuff. I really don't know, so I shouldn't even really speak on it. But I do think that he'll get another shot at Florida State if he wants one.
Will Noel D56 basically asking for us to elaborate on what is lacking behind the scenes. We already talked about that. What are the differences between FSU and Clemson and Bama in regards to support staff and facilities? We talked about that. Seminole Maniac 1984. Did Willie lurk on these boards like Jimbo did? I don't know if he did personally, but I'm sure somebody in his office would. Yeah, I mean, that's not a knock on him. I'm sure Saban, actually maybe Saban actually doesn't. But I bet Dabo, Lincoln Riley, I bet maybe actually, I don't know. Those guys are so damn successful, they probably really don't give a damn what anyone else is saying about them. But I'm sure any embattled coach, I'm sure Clay Helton has people out there that check inside Trojans.com or whatever to let them know what people are saying. But I don't know.
Sure, but I don't think it's like, hey, give me a temperature of the fan base. They like the job I'm doing.
So look at what we're
more
writing.
Like, hey, just check and if there's anything I need to know about, let me know it.
Yeah.
As far as like something that, not that they cared that much about the media, but if I've written like a really critical column, he might want to know that, or a very good column, which, most of them are. He might want to read that. He's like, hey, give me all of Corey's stuff.
Yeah.
I want to read that for a while. Love the way that guy writes. But I don't think Jimbo lurked on the boards like he would get on Warchant necessarily and just get on each thread. But if something was said about a thing that happened in practice or a player or a rumor, that might be brought up to him. And I think that's what would happen at most schools. For the dominant website of that school, I think they're on just making sure they're not missing anything. Like if, for whatever reason, somebody at Warchant purported to be Hornibrook's sister or brother and said, hey, man, just so y'all know, I know I'm at Stanford now, but I'm coming to Florida State. They might run that by Taggart and say, here, we saw this on Warchant. Is this true? Whatever. Something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's more of just making sure there's nothing crazy out there as opposed to, hey, give me a daily update on what's on Warchant or any of the other sites.
Noledoc 93, Ben Real Noles 77 questions about Boston College. Noledoc 93 asking, do we have any idea kind of maybe what Jim Leavitt's role will be Saturday against Boston College? Ben Real Nole, do we think that the team will come out with something to prove now that Willie is gone and with a true Seminole as interim head coach? I don't think Leavitt's going to call plays. I think that's still going to be Harlan Barnett's thing. I'm sure Leavitt's going to be more involved in mindset, kind of. I'm sure he's been active at practice this week. I can't imagine he would not be with the ability now to actually hands-on coach. So hopefully there will be maybe some increased intensity from these guys with a guy of his stature leading them and coaching them hands-on. And I don't know how much to the well Odell can go with the whole "we're Florida State, we're unconquered" when it's 40 degrees and Marvin's not playing and there's still some hurt feelings about the head coach being fired. I sure hope so, but I don't know. I'm skeptical.
Yeah, and again, the novelty of that's kind of worn off in the sense that there's at least dozens of these guys that were here the last time Odell was the coach, so it's not. The novelty's worn off a little bit, but I am again. I'm really interested in how they play. Not having Marvin's going to be a big problem.
Georgia Noles 86. First, Corey, did you get to have your beer before you heard about the news breaking about Willie being fired? And do we honestly feel Willie got a fair shot? Do you think if Stan was still the AD, Willie would have had a longer tenure at FSU?
Oh, that last question's a loaded one. I would say yes, but not for maybe the reasons people's minds might go to. I would say yes because it was his hire. And when it's your hire, now again, it wasn't just Stan Wilcox's hire. It wasn't, hey man, this is my show. I don't care what you say, John. Ed, I'm the AD. Are you the AD? No. President. So go preside over something else. This is my store. It wasn't anything like that, but it was his. I mean, that was his name was on that hire. So I would think he would have fought maybe harder for Taggart against the power brokers than maybe Coburn did, because Coburn came in obviously after Stan left. But that said, did he get a fair shake? I mean, 21 games isn't probably no. I mean, if you go just by the games, no, of course not. 21 games isn't enough. I don't know what Jimbo's record was after 20. I mean, it wasn't 9-12. Well, don't get me wrong, but it, again, like we talked about, it was the direction they saw the program going. Blah, we got it all. It wasn't just the results on the field; it was where they saw the program going, and their hope for the future, which was nil. And I don't remember the first part of the question. Oh, yes, I did. The beer came first. The beer came actually right when I saw the news. And then I had to wait about 10 or 15 minutes for the wings. And then I chowed those down like I was in a chicken wing eating contest and then got out the door. But I did get one beer, which was basically pointless, especially when it's an ultra. I might as well just order the water.
Ohio Noles 6. Wake up! First-time poster, new to the website but not the podcast. I'm from Reynoldsburg, Ohio, famous native being Mike Matheny, manager now of the Kansas City Royals. Fun fact, the modern tomato was perfected here in Reynoldsburg, Ohio by Alexander Livingston.
Everybody knows that. I like how he's acted like we didn't know that already.
Right.
That's common knowledge.
Anyway, assuming Stoops could be hired and drawn out of, quote, retirement, who would you see being suitable coordinators? People talk about Kendall, and that's fine, but who are some other names we might not be considering? I don't know. I don't know
mean,
what his tree is for offensive coordinators. I mean, you point out Lincoln Riley, who's not leaving Oklahoma, Josh Heupel, who's not leaving UCF. I guess maybe that's where this search firm kind of comes into play. They're being paid six figures. Hopefully the search firm can give him some names of some up-and-coming OCs. But I don't know. Maybe you try to poach one of the Clemson guys away to give them full autonomy. They don't have the co attached to their name, and any sort of maybe thought that Dabo is still perhaps pulling the strings. I haven't really thought about coordinators, man. I'm just so focused on the head coach that I haven't started my coordinator hot board yet. But when I do, you'll know how I know.
Bob Stoops has been in college coaching for 30 years or whatever it is. He's got a million connections. He doesn't need a search firm to be, he's got, I'm sure, 12 or 14 guys on speed dial that he really trusts that can tell him, yeah, man, you need to go after this guy, or you need to go after this guy, or make a run at this guy. I don't think he needs a search firm telling him, well, these guys are, doing well at their schools this year. Bryles, you don't have to, if he stays, you don't have to pay the buyout, which would be nice. My first call, if I was Bob Stoops and I was taking the Florida State job, would be to Clemson, to whoever I thought was the better of the two, and said, hey, man, you get full autonomy to run the offense. But if they say, no, I like what I'm doing here, or it doesn't work because of the timing, because they're going to be playing in the early January, then I wouldn't see a problem with keeping Bryles. Would you?
We'll see these next three games. I'm serious. Like,
all right.
he
Okay.
needs to.
All right.
I mean, I'm not impressed. I was ready to sign over a kidney at 1:46 p.m. Against Boise State. But, man, I'm glad I didn't do that. Let's see here. Cleve Dog, FSU 22. Wake up, Corey Aslan. I'm heading over to Zaxby's to get my usual salad with extra boiled egg and extra grilled chicken. My question, though, you find,
I never
gentlemen,
thought about going with extra egg. That's a good call. I never even thought about that. I guess I could ask for like 5 eggs on that thing if I wanted. Anyway, go ahead.
You're Corey effing Clark. You can do whatever you want.
Damn Skippy.
My question, you fine gentlemen. Once Bob Stoops is announced as our head ball coach, what questions are you going to ask him? Corey, please stop Jeff Cameron from doing the Boomer Sooner call. P.S. Love the show. Love the humor.
That was what we said on headlines, because Jeff is an Oklahoma fan too.
Right.
And that was what we told him he should do. Is as soon as the press conference starts, he yells out "Boomer," and see if Stoops yells out "Sooner," which would be really funny.
Old habits die hard.
I don't. Yeah, it would be instinctual. It'd be instinct. He'd definitely call it back, and then be like, "Oh no, I'm not there." That would be really funny to see. As far as a question I would ask him,
I want to see if he's ever close to going to Florida.
I don't know more about like what changed. Why do you? And that would be asked by everyone. Yeah. But why now? I mean, you left such a great program in the midst of a really good run. Why now do you want to get back into this rat race? Yeah. What changed? And like, how much do you have the same energy you did as a 36-year-old or a 44-year-old or whatever the case may be?
Well, part of it was that, I think his own father, there was he had this kind of, I think some of the stories that were out there, some columnists were floating it out about the abrupt resignment or retirement that he had, was that he was questioning his own mortality to a certain extent, because I think his father had passed away prematurely and was like a football coach, and I think the family thought that maybe stress kind of factored into things like that.
I'm almost positive his dad died on a football field.
Yeah,
like during a high school football game, he had a heart attack and died at the hospital.
Right. So I mean, that was part of it. Maybe you kind of step back and you assess that maybe you're in good shape. That's a freak thing. You can't live your life in fear. So I'm sure some of that stuff obviously factors in. I was just kind of asking, was he ever close to ever going to Florida? Because, man, when they were, when Spurrier was wearing out his welcome or getting ready to go to the NFL, and I'm pretty sure they thought they were going to get him when they got Zook. Like, it was either they're going to get Mike Shanahan or Bob Stoops, but then they ended up with Ron Zook. And then when they lost Ron Zook, they thought they were going to get him again. And then they got Urban Meyer, and it kind of worked out all right. But I just want to ask him. I don't ask him at a press conference, but if we ever ever had some beers at Golden Eagle, I'd ask him that question.
It's just been weird for him to leave Oklahoma for Florida. Like they're the same program essentially, and he doesn't have any ties to Florida other than he coached there for a few years. So why leave a program that you've built into this juggernaut and won a national title at to go at a program that's already won without you? It would be odd. Like now it's different, obviously, because he doesn't have a job. But so he's not really leaving Oklahoma for Florida State. He's leaving retirement for Florida State. But back in 2000, whatever that was, 4, that would have just been a really weird move. Anywho, just my thought.
We're approaching the hour mark. 3 more questions, and then over under JDDA Noel. Boston College game. What's your opinion? Will the offense be more aggressive? What about the defense? Will Levitt have an impact? I think Jim Levitt's going to bring a little bit of intensity to that meeting room, to those players, but I don't know how much of it will be offset by the fact that Marvin Wilson's not out there. As for the offense, I think that's maybe something we're probably not talking about all that much, or maybe I haven't talked about since I have to drive us every now and then on the program. But, I mean, if there's shackles that Willie had put on Kendall, which I think is totally overblown, I mean, that's all out the window now. Kendall's, we pretty much assume he's going to have full autonomy and full independence over what he wants to do on that side of the ball. And maybe they will take more chances. Maybe there will be more. I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like he was ever really, hamstrung, but a lot of people think he was. But that might be the thing that ends up winning them the game, would be this offense just going out there and finding their groove and hanging 38 points. That might be the thing rather than this defense, bowing up and slowing down that run game.
Yeah, I mean, I am interested to see if it looks any different. I don't think it will, but if it looks if it looks markedly different, or even, 15% different, I think that would be interesting. Because what's Odell going to be doing with the offense? Zero. So every play, the pace, everything is on Kendall Briles. Who's playing quarterback? All of it is Kendall Briles' decision. So will be really interesting to see.
FSU Todd with 1D. Wake up, the Lion and Corey. With 2 and Odell running the show, will we have less penalties and 11 guys on special teams?
I think that horse is out the barn. You know what I mean? I don't think Odell's going to be coaching special teams. He hadn't coached it this week. I think those units are coached how they're coached. I don't know that just having him. I don't think those guys made mistakes because they didn't think their head coach cared. You know what I mean? I don't think that was in their thought at all. It's normally I would be out there to be the 11th guy on the punt return, but because I know Taggart doesn't really care, I'm not going to do it. I mean, those were huge mistakes, and Willie got really mad. It's just those segments aren't coached all that well. And I think if they only had 5 or 4 penalties this week, it might be coincidental more than anything else. That's my theory. Could be wrong, though. I've been wrong before. I know you guys don't believe it, but I have been.
How about this, Corey? Follow me here. What about the Florida State University, home of the 11th man? And, we just run out a walk-on, or somebody in the crowd has always ran out there as the final guy for special teams, and they have to count and make sure there's, 10 other guys on the field with them.
That's a good idea. You can put it on the stadium. Yeah, the 11th, the home of the 11th man. Yeah. No, don't have to call timeouts for only having 10 guys on the field. Yeah.
All right, last one before over under. It's Fitz. That's the name of the person. It's Fitz. Wake up. A lot of talk about Lane Kiffin and Mark Stoops in his paragraph, but let's get right to the question. His question: why are coaches such as Lane Kiffin and Mark Stoops even in the conversation when they have shown they are not elite and cannot get it done at other schools? Well,
Lane Kiffin, in my opinion, has shown that he's not elite because he got a chance with the keys to one of the best programs in the country. In fact, I think was ranked number 1 at one point in his career.
Yeah, preseason,
start of season,
12.
And then I think got fired that year. Had a lot of talent. Mark Stoops has not proven that he's not elite. That's like saying Leonard Hamilton has proven he's not a good coach because he's been to the tournament 7 times. It's Florida State basketball, man. He is at Kentucky football. It's really hard to win there. Really hard. He might be awesome at a school like Florida State. I'm not saying he would be, not calling it, but I'm saying that he might be awesome at a place like Florida State. I don't think you can judge what he has or hasn't done at Kentucky as just proof that he can't be elite. Because who's ever won at Kentucky? Bear Bryant maybe in the 50s? And nobody wins at Kentucky ever.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's just you project what they would do with this program, with these resources, with this recruiting soil, with this brand, that kind of stuff. That's what it comes down to. You just think, all right, well, Lane Kiffin maybe now is a little bit older, a little bit wiser, maybe not as bright a lights as Los Angeles being in Tallahassee. Again, I thought he should have been interviewed when they went and got Taggart, but I wasn't hurt over it, and I don't think he's really proven himself enough at FAU. I know he had a really good 2017, his first year there was really good, but that was with Kendall helping him out. Last season, not as much when Kendall left, and then this year I think they're maybe kind of in the thick of the Conference USA chase, but again, is that really what you want to be here? But yeah, you look at a guy like Mark Stoops and you're saying, well, he won 10 games at Kentucky. Imagine what he would do in Tallahassee with these guys, with this recruiting, with these built-in advantages, plus you're not having to play an SEC schedule. So yeah, it's all about projecting. And then yeah, it's your team, it's your program. You see the good in everything, and you're like, yeah, man, he'll be great. We can help him, but it doesn't always work out that way. See Taggart, Willie. Let's take a break. We'll do over under. We'll come right back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's.
At Birch Orthodontics, they know what a difference a beautiful and healthy smile can make in your life.
They take the time to get to know you and perform a thorough exam so that they can make an individualized treatment plan just for you or your child.
They use the latest technology in a warm and comfortable environment. So whether you are interested in traditional metal or clear braces or clear aligners, they can give you the smile you deserve. They know investing in your smile means investing in your future. And at Birch Orthodontics, they are honored to be a part of your smile journey.
Serving Tallahassee for 16 years and supporting the Noles since forever. Check them out at birchorthodontics.com. BURCH orthodontics.com. Welcome back. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's. We work for Warchant. FSU New Era is a promo code. He's Corey Maslon. Let's get to it. I don't even know what you gained 2 more games on me last week, Corey, but I don't remember what you did the week prior. I think you're probably up by 5 now. At least
I think I'm up 13.
Okay.
Have you? How sober are you? Pretty sober?
This show's been 3 hours long, so I'm sober now. I'm good.
Okay, good.
I'm good. By the way, somebody commented the other day. They said that we sounded. Somebody was like our Tuesday show is the worst show we ever did, and that they hope. And this is a subscriber said that they hope that we find a job that we'll be happy doing. So I don't know.
Oh, were we down? Oh, was that the Tuesday show or the Wednesday show?
The Wednesday show.
Because I'm exhausted. I've already recorded headlines. Not exhausted again. I know what I do for a living. Yeah. I'm exhausted at talking about Florida State. I've just done a 2-hour headlines, and then done Warchant report, and then I got to talk again about the same things I've already talked about, and I just run out of steam, folks.
Right.
So. Not saying that you shouldn't tune into the Wednesday shows because that'll be my last Warchant report, so I'll be more energized from here on out. When they're all right in a row, I go straight from headlines to the Warchant studios, and then to do Warchant report, and then we record Wake Up Warchant right after that. So literally, it's all right in a row. It's 3 hours in 3 hours. So anyway, So that's why that one might not. I mean, I usually carry it anyway with my enthusiasm and my vigor.
Yeah.
But on that day, especially, I was out a little bit out of gas. I was on E. That's my fault. I got to be better though. That's not an excuse. We don't make excuses on this show. We'll be better.
Blame no one. Let's do some. Let's do over under. But yeah, we love our jobs. We're happy gentlemen. It's part of the endearing nature of the show is to kind of be a curmudgeon and be grumpy about things. Like one of my favorite friends is my buddy in New York City, Brian, who's absolutely killing it in life. Like he's dating a really cute girl. He makes money hand over fist as a hedge fund guy, but you hang out with him and he's just laid back and complains about things here and there. And it's just funny. It's you have nothing to complain about, but you still gripe about things. But it's an endearing thing, but it's not for everybody apparently. Anyhow, let's go to it. Boston College rushing yards. Obviously, again, all these numbers come courtesy of the Williams Sportsbook in Tallahassee, Florida. Boston College rushing yards over under 235. Corey, you have honors. first off the tee.
Over.
Yeah.
Over.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be like 285 was going to be the number. But Williams Sportsbook went 235.
I would say under to that one. But, yeah, I think they're going to be somewhere in the 250 range. That's what I've been thinking all week.
Kalen LeBourne rushes 5. Over, under.
Over.
I agree. I think so. Florida State penalty 7.5. Over, under.
Under.
Man, I was going to say under, too. I can't keep matching you. Yeah, under. I mean, that's just, they can't. They're not. They got to get that figured out. Punting average 39.5 yards. I'll go first. Under. It's cold.
I think Tommy Martin's going to bounce back in a big way.
Okay.
So I'm going to say over. He might go over. He might be close to 50. Okay. I mean, I think my man's going to have a really good day. Plus, he might only have to punt twice. Boston College doesn't have a very good defense. This might be a shootout.
All right. I like it. Emmett Rice tackles 9.5. I'll take the over because they're going to run, and he's going to keep, finding his way into the pile and probably get charged with tackles. So
I'll say under to that one.
Ooh, look at you.
I'll say under to that one.
Total points scored, 63. That's the official number from Las Vegas. 63 points. Oh, man.
I feel like I've been crushing it by going under the number each time, and I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to say under on that. It's going to be cold. I don't think Boston College is going to put up 40. I don't think they're just going to run. I mean, I know I said they're going to run for about 250 yards, but that's on like 60 rushes. So it's not going to be I don't think they're just going to be flying up and down the field, either team necessarily. So I say under.
I need to gain ground. I'll say over. I think like Florida State, Alex Hornibrook, the golden left arm, like a 35-31 shootout. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
All right, Corey. That's a wrap for the program. It's ACC Network, noon, cold game. 2 in Odell, trying to go 3 in Odell. No Marvin, backs against the wall. What's gonna carry the spirits of Florida State fans on Saturday as they watch their team amidst turmoil play a physical Boston College team?
I mean, I got nothing left, Aslan. I'm going to be honest. It's really late.
It is.
I think the only thing that will carry people's spirits is when later on today, word comes down, head coach Deion. Everything else, then you're just flying above the moon after that. You're flying high. Things are about to turn around, especially if Miami hires Michael Irvin. I like your chances. Noles fans. But either way, whatever. Have a great weekend. I guess we hope they win so they go to a bowl game. So it is a big game, I guess, in that regard, right, Aslan?
It is. Choo-choo. I'm on the caboose. No, you're on the caboose. I'm on the locomotive. He's Corey. I'm Aslan.
You're up there.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great weekend.